Hi guys, my name is Borrodante, and I'm technically a burn victim today. I've been to the beach, and then took a walk for what happened to be like half of the city, so that was exhausting and weird. And now I'm on fire! But nonetheless, welcome back to Overpaint. Today's patient is Kumaruni, and this is their imp original character, which has been summoned or something. And I can't help but notice that it might have an unintentional sexual context, which is something we gotta talk about later. But first, let's read the note. Hi there, this is a drawing I made of my imp Shazoo. Shazoo Invocation, the name of the painting. I hope to learn how to get better in my full color tier. Alright, so we'll pay more attention towards how to render the thing with such a complex situation like summoning of a demon. Small demon, imp. So yeah, let's go ahead and move to Art Studio. Hold up, forgot to download it. Man, I'm so red, this looks so weird. Like, it doesn't hurt much, but it looks a lot worse. I think I can fix that with color correction, right? Let's give it a try. Hope that's better. Alright, here we go. So I'll try to mostly pay attention to the rendering and comment on it, but at first we need to fix some of the stuff with the drawing part, the sketch, the way things are. So I can see this imp is summoned and he's like, or she, is locked inside of this like force field of a box. And there's some issues with its perspective, I think, with geometry in general. Like, first of all, I want to kind of lower the perspective strength on the box. This is way too strong. Even if it would fit with the geometry of the character, which it doesn't, it would be just too strong. It looks not very pleasant when things go too crazy of a perspective for no real reason. When the geometry of the box is so strong, that means we're like looking at it like this at the corner of the box. That's how you can get such a strong perspective with this super strong corner. Well, not that much, obviously we're not actually staring at completely, but like uncomfortably too close. It's weird. So there's that, and another thing we need to fix is kind of the pose of the character. First of all, this palm is completely broken. This is very painful. Like, there's no way it's like way stronger like that. Ow. And another thing, so we're gonna fix this thing and probably like reposition the limbs in general. One other important thing is that if we pay attention to the way, like here's the butt, we go upwards like this, and then we go forward. And if we would go from this direction and here, we're kind of beyond the wall of the box. So these feet are breaking through the wall of the box at this point somewhere. So probably to fit this imp into the box, we need to change the pose of their limbs so they would actually feel like they're inside. And another thing, I feel like this is some kind of my own weird preference every time, but I don't know, am I crazy that I'm always like, that I always don't like that? The cropping of the picture, it's always too close in most cases with almost all submissions. To my taste maybe, but I don't know, doesn't it feel weird that we have this awesome altar going on with all the magic and we're seeing like only almost all of it, but not all of it, and it's kind of weirdly cropped. It feels like if an altar is shown and there is imp showing up on it, it should be like in the middle and we should see the whole circle. Am I crazy? Feels like it's super unsatisfying that it's cropped like that. So I'm gonna reposition stuff to just fit things in. I think the main reason why this cropping is happening in most paintings that are getting submitted is because artists want to show as much of the character as possible. So the picture is just cropped around the character with in this case the head being at the thirds. So that's probably why, but I don't know, I don't see a problem with showing more of the environment. It's not gonna be that much. We can make altar a bit smaller, like it's kinda melting here. It should be, well, something like that. We'll see, so I'm gonna move it about and play around with things. And yeah, on the on the sexual context that I kinda getting some vibe of it, it's probably me being confused with the thickness over here, and it's like very in the shot not. Maybe I'm also feeling some connection because right now I'm having the same skin color as the imp. But anyway, I don't know, maybe when I'll reposition the feet so they would actually fit into the box, this will somehow be covered? It feels distracting, that's what I'm trying to say. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with it, but if that wasn't the intention, which kind of feels like it's not supposed to be an intention because the character is kind of cute. So the butt thing is kind of like, why is that there? Again, am I crazy? It feels off with just presentation. So these are my thoughts at the moment. I'm gonna start as usual. First I'll move the composition around, so let's do that, and then we'll continue doing other things and talking about it. So now as I change the composition, I feel like it just works right away much better, right? Now I'm gonna cut into the box like this to make the perspective less strong and sitting more flatishly, more flat on the floor of the altar. So this bottom plane will be more horizontal like this. Feeling right away like creating some kind of reflection feeling from the box is just so easy to do. Just doing these vertical lines and immediately you get the feeling of reflection. And yeah, we'll put the inventive, unusual, custom designer pentagram on the floor later. Right now we need to figure out other stuff. From the top, let's use some of the green glow to highlight where exactly the edge of the box is, because it's kind of disappearing and that's very unpleasant looking. By the way, I wonder if this is just a glass box or an actual like magical field of sorts. I want to think that it's like both at the same time, which is the best answer. Okay, it's time to reposition the anatomy, I guess, after this little fix over here. Okay, done with the little fix. Now it's time to think on the character. I'm trying to figure out how to fit the legs into the box. Actually, the most reasonable way is to just push these knees over here. So that's how the feet would go. But that would feel very tight, like too much. And there will be even more thickness in the picture, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Plus, we can play with the lighting, always. We can hide things that we don't want to emphasize our attention on. So yeah, let's search for a while. Trying to think through the lighting. So on the face we have this lighting from the left, so I'm gonna make it consistent on the legs and everything. I don't know if it was, kinda, but it's from the top in this area. So I marked in all the lighting, I think, unless I missed something. So this arm is going upwards a bit, so there's like a raised elbow back there, since the character is kind of closer to this side of the box. So a lot of stuff going on. My brain is working 100% to solve the character itself, the geometry, the lighting. So I chose a bright light from this side, and then I chose another light that is, well, also bright, but it's not as dominant. It's coming from the back left, like that. Or from the back right if we're not mirrored. So it's adding this contour light everywhere, that I'm adding it here, here, here. So I was trying to like bring this logic as close as possible to what the original character had. So the main light source from the left, overall ambience with the blue tint, and I added more of that tint in this area just because I wanted to. And that's why another light source, the second one, is only from the back like that, adding some contour lighting and lighting up this hand right here quite a lot, because it's laying flat over there. It's gonna catch a lot of that. So one interesting thought on how to solve the lighting, like you need to come up with where the lights are and then thinking on how they, like which plane of the leg is facing that direction to actually catch it. So in here is from there, and here as well. This thumb is raised right here, so it's also facing there. But that's the common routine that I always do. It's just something that requires some practice. But also another interesting thought on the design of the lighting, when you have to think through where you want your lights. I think it's a pretty good idea to not just think on where you want your lights, but where you want your shadows. Because without thinking that, like not just shadows, like I'm not talking about where the shadow will be cast from this character on the floor, I mean where there won't be light on the surface of a character. So I decided that this part will be in shadow, right? And in here, this will be also dim right here as well. So I thought on that first of all, like I need to find the place where there will be darkness. And then I'm going, okay, so the light will be one on the left and another one from the far right, and that will create this three-dimensional look of the character. And if you don't think about that, you can end up with something close to the lighting on my face in each episode of this, comparing to older episodes where I'm in front of a couch. Some of the episodes had a very high contrast shadow with a good terminator on my face, so I was looking very three-dimensional. And right now I'm not doing that because I wanted a more casual kind of look, and plus just a technical limitation, I need a lot of flat lighting on my green screen, so generally my lights are positioned in a more flat way. But for a painting, it's definitely always a good idea to leave some space, some angles of the surfaces for the shadow. You shouldn't just add another light source here, another light source here, because with that you would be working against yourself and you would end up with a very, very flat character. Like everything will be very well lit on all the angles and it would just look wrong. It wouldn't feel dynamic, especially with such a dynamic scene. You want to have good contrast with the shadow. So always some portion of the round body parts should catch shadow. So you need to think like on the circle around the character, from which side there will be lighting and from which side there will be the shadow left, because there won't be any light there. Some gap between the light sources around the character. So it's really important. If you don't do that, it's just gonna be so hard and you will never end up with good rendering of the character. You need to think on where the lights are. So yeah, I apparently changed the design of the face a lot, which I didn't think I did at all, but it changed quite a lot. I hope that's not a problem. I also wanted to reshade the irises in the eyes, so I'm gonna do that now, and it will make the character even more different, but I'll keep the same colors and everything, so it's always good to start with a dark base and find good shapes and directions of the irises, so it's all like connected connected to the geometry of the face and geometry of the eyeballs, and it's not super precise in here at the moment, that's for sure. Like, eyes are of very different sizes, so I'll try to fix that as well. Also, by the way, I really want to open his mouth. It feels like it just happened, the whole summoning, and he's in a cage. It feels sudden, so I would open his mouth, like a little bit. I'm not even sure what the expression should be exactly. Also, again, I'm not sure how the design of the face is intentional or not, but usually it's a good idea to leave less space between the nose and the mouth and keep more space between the chin and the mouth. It was a common mistake that I used to make, so I don't know if a lot of people have that, or is it just an intentional design, but generally the character looks much nicer in many ways if you push the mouth a bit higher. And don't worry about the big chin, like it will look too manly or something. It won't. Look at anime, they have giant chins sometimes, and that's totally fine. It's more about the shape of the chin. This is a very like baby kind of shape, so it's gonna be cool even if we're really high with the mouth. Well, that's too cute or something. Let's make it lighter a little bit, because it might feel like this imp is wearing lipstick. Sometimes it's kind of a struggle to make the character have lips of a darker and more red color than the skin, as it should be, but so it wouldn't look like lipstick. Requires quite some precision in the values and colors. So yeah, let's continue with the eyes. The third eye, it shouldn't be looking at us, right? That was the intention. It kind of feels like it was just painted on the forehead then. I'm gonna make it looking at us, so it would feel more legit. It's not really important, but kind of felt off. Alright, let's add some of that color now. Okay, so finishing this up, I don't know, didn't pay a lot of attention to these metal rings everywhere, so they don't look so great. So now I want to add, there was a bunch of reflections on the glass, so I'm gonna add something like that, but in a much more subtle way. So yeah, the perfect placement will be the thickness area. Let me make it smoother right here. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna erase it exactly where the edge of the box is gonna happen. So like that. Looks alright. We don't want to do too much of that stuff since we want to see the character and all that. Although we can experiment a little bit with this reflection of the pink fire ring, but it may make things too messy, especially considering that I'm making a very quick version of the painting. I don't know, it might read alright, it might not. Also, it's weird that I left the metal ring and the nose so bright. There, at least one ring that looks more or less legit. Just gotta come closer and make it more accurate. And think about where these surfaces look to catch the reflections of the environment. So the pentagram, let's give it a try, although I kind of forgot about it. Something dark side, I don't know. So yeah, I'm just gonna transform it, that's what this is about. Something like that. Maybe we wanna motion blur it a little bit. This is like special effects now. The reflection layer, we can tone it down a bit if it's too much. There, done. Even if I forgot something. It's been a while. Well, yeah, it makes more sense when we put it into a good place on the canvas and show the altar with this portal, at least the way that we can see the whole pentagram circle thing. And yeah, I painted the stars with my own brush so they would look more fitting to the picture. And yeah, if you ask me, never do this thing with just overlaying textures on the painting. It's like, this is not the kind of art style where that would work. And even if it would, you kind of have to like merge it down and then paint over it on top so it would like feel like it's a part of the painting and not just a texture on top. So I went ahead and did some kind of a motion blur effect of the environment inside of the box. You can play around a lot with this thing. This is why everyone likes magic. But yeah, that's how I decided to go about this. Not sure about the geometry of the legs. They may still stick out of the box probably, but hopefully it's a bit less noticeable. I don't know. Something like that. Hope the process was helpful and whatever I said. Thank you, Kumaruni, for your submission. This was a pretty interesting story to illustrate, to change. Hope this example on your own artwork will help you a bit with figuring out how to work with the lighting. If any of you guys want me to overpaint some of your pictures like that, the link to my Patreon page is in the end of this video. You become my patron and submit the artwork with a message. I read the message and paint over your artwork. That's the drill. And that will be it. Tell me guys what you think about the result. Sure, it's not perfect, but hopefully I didn't mess this one up. And also, I thank you for watching if you did. I guess I did if you're here. Leave a like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Get down with the thickness. As in the song, get down with the sickness. Do whatever you want. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. So interesting. Like, the character is pretty much the same, and the story is pretty much the same, but the original kind of makes me uncomfortable in many ways. In the way the face looks like, and the way it's looking at me, and the whole butt area. But in here, like, we have the same thing, but presented a bit differently. Like, described with words, it would be the same thing, but this one doesn't make me feel uncomfortable.